Went out, got the 10K done faster, but with fucking 12 blisters up my foot because I was wearing wrong shoes, wrong gear, wrong everything. And that's kind of where the passion for it started. I was like, you don't get an ego boost like that in the gym. Like, it's all good lifting heavy things, but like, there's not really, like, people don't care if you can lift 120 kilos on the bar. Like, they're like, if you can run really far and really fast, people look at that. People notice that.
I'm
So,
noticing pattern to my own training here, so I gotta ask straight away. Geneva, marathon number one. Me and Eric have horror stories we've told plenty of times the podcast. Did yours go well, or did you carry that kind of, I did a 10K, let's just hit the marathon and I'm great? What was the attitude going into that one?
oh, okay. First marathon, again, pure ego. It took me a lot of learning to actually get to be able to do this sustainably. Like, first marathon, we went over to Nice, did a 20K race there, a massive group of us, about 15 of us. And when I finished that, I was like, absolutely not, never doing a marathon, never running again. Within 5 days, I was back out running because all of a sudden a 5K was nothing. I was like, I can do this in my sleep now. So then there was a little bit of getting hooked to that. One of the lads just kept ringing me. He's like, I booked the half marathon in Geneva. Will you please come over and do it with me? And I was like, no, I'm not arsed. I'm not doing this again. Not again. And then he rang me one last time. He was like, I'm going to ask you one last time. Will you please do it? And for some reason, my logical brain was like, is there a marathon there? He was like, yeah. I was like, go on, go on. I'll book the marathon. So it was purely impulse. I think I booked the marathon with 10 weeks to train, 10 weeks, in around 10 to 12 weeks to train. No knowledge of how to train for a marathon, no knowledge of what it actually entailed. I was just like, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to see what happens, I'm going to push myself for it. And in the 3 months, yeah, 2, 3 months beforehand, my, I think it was my groin at the time blew up. So I didn't really run. And my entire training block added up to about 60, 70 kilometers in the 3 months before Geneva, and that was the first marathon. So it was not pretty.
Fortunately, I can still relate. That's
Unfortunately,
fucking hard.
you're probably still better than us too, Shams.
Oh god.
So if I can touch on the personal or on the gym side of things, and a lot of people, I suppose, cardio is the enemy to muscle gains. This the element of both are individual sports, and obviously both have
Yeah.
two very different goals and outlooks. One is a very physical looking, one is most marathon and endurance athletes don't look, I speak for myself, don't look like I can run a marathon, but I can run a marathon probably tomorrow or the next day and I'll slog through and stuff. It's quite
Yeah.
different in terms of what you are. How hard is it to transition from that? I know Sean does it in his coaching and stuff, so he's a little bit more used to being more open-minded, and you probably are now. But in that phase, I know it was ego, but what was going through your head to transition from that physique lift to running?
It was more so a personal challenge. Like, obviously there was the ego side of it, but I actually did love getting out and moving my body and being able to breathe. And the progression that I found within running was different to the progression that I could find within the gym. It was a new style of training that I wanted to get on top of, I wanted to get better at. Like, and from that, combining like, oh, where was I going with that? I found that they could benefit each other, and I still do the two of them at the same time. Like, for the first marathon, I was still heavily strength training. I was probably upping my weights week on week. I was still pushing heavy weight. And even from that marathon, I haven't lost any weight. I'm still sitting at 90 kilos running like all the marathons, and I don't plan on losing weight to it. But I think it just means you have to train in a little bit of different manner. Because I have that excess weight, my knees will take a lot of impact, my ankles take a lot of impact, my hips take a lot of impact. So it's about training those areas to withstand that impact. And I also can't, I feel because of my weight, I can't do the massive 90K weeks in the training for the marathons. So I don't do the bike work yet myself, but a lot of people hop up on the bike who are my weight and do that for as a replacement to some of their long runs. I just do a lot of strength training where I can, a good bit of mobility work, and kind of incorporate that side of it into it.
So for me, I get quite lazy in terms of my gym work. As from listening to the podcast, I spent a lot of time in the beginning of this year on strength work because of these very reasons, and I really wanted
Yeah.
to just enjoy my training.